Grace and peace, family. This is Charles bringing our weekly encouragement. And I have the difficult task of trying to be encouraging in light of another act of violence perpetrated against a black man by individuals wearing a uniform. Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back in front of his children. Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back. And some of the narrative is because he didn't comply. Because he didn't do as he was ordered to do on the scene. The officers that were unavailable to respond to a fight that Jacob Blake took upon himself to break up. And the reward he received for his chivalry was to be shot 7 times in the back in front of his kids. We learned today an individual was taken into custody, a white teenage male that's been charged with the murder and assault of innocent citizens exercising their constitutionally protected right to gather and demonstrate against the violence that was perpetuated against Mr. Blake. And this individual, who was found with a semi-automatic rifle, was taken into custody with no harm done. There's no more clear comparison as to what happens when black men and women encounter police versus when our white counterparts encounter police. And November is not going to change. Do I need to remind you that Eric Garner was murdered by police? That Sandra Bland died while in police custody? That Freddie Gray died while in police custody? Do I need to remind you that 12-year-old Tamir Rice was murdered by police? Do I need to remind you that Walter Scott was murdered by police? And there was a black man in the White House at the time. Did you forget that Democrats controlled the Senate and the White House, and black men were still being murdered by police? If we think that November's election is going to stop the violence perpetuated on us by those that wear a uniform that are supposed to protect us, we're making a grave mistake. Come November, I'm voting Democrat. I'm voting for the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ticket. Not because I believe that the White House is going to have any impact on what happens in the streets that I live in on a daily basis. I'm voting Biden and Harris come November because I will no longer stand idly by with an administration that flagrantly flaunts executive power, that blatantly profits off the backs of hardworking Americans. I'm voting November not in support of Biden and Harris. I'm voting Democrat in November to say quite clearly I'm dissatisfied with the direction and leadership of the current administration. And I want to send a very clear message. But what I want to say to you, my Connected Church fam, my fam in general, the executive office does not solve these issues. If your attorney general is not prosecuting murders, whether they have a badge or not, you need to vote your attorney general out of office. If your elected delegation is not backing an agenda that is promoting reform of law enforcement in your local community, then you need a new elected delegation. This work does not end with a Democratic victory in the White House come November. Not even close. This work is about what happens in our communities where real change and impact take place on a daily basis. I believe you should vote for Biden and Harris come November. I also believe, regardless of the label, we should be backing candidates and representatives that promote an agenda that brings about righteousness and restorative justice in our communities. If your elected delegation is not in favor of putting forward policies and agenda items that support righteousness and restorative justice, that promote equity and nonviolence and collaboration and cooperation, and provide support for decent, livable wage jobs that honor hard work and respect for the individual, then you need a new elected delegation. My weekly encouragement for you, fam, is to speak truth to power, to do the homework, to spend the time reviewing the voting record of those representatives from your district, of your city council, of your school board, of your attorney general, and confirming whether or not they put forward an agenda that supports you, that supports your family, that honors you. And if they don't, bring in somebody else. Peace, fam. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Stay in this fight.